All right, so welcome back to our weekly education webinar. I'm gonna, do the presentation, and then I'll recap my trades as well. This is very important that I feel for new traders that are just starting out. Things that they may not think about, the mistakes that they make, the mistakes that I made when I started. And, this isn't a way to shortcut what you do, but it's a way to help you think about what you do so you don't make as many mistakes. Now, we need mistakes. We have to make them because that's how we learn. But some mistakes you just don't need to make. Because if you take and draw from the experiences of those that's already walked this path, then that can eliminate some of the stress that you have while you're learning how to trade. All right, so we all know trading is exciting, it's hard, but in fact trading is extremely hard. I left off the T. That's funny. Some say it takes thousands of hours to master before you can actually master it. Others believe that trading is the way to make quick money. But the reality is, no matter how experienced you are, mistakes are going to be part of the process. That's why it's important that you know now, before you get started, what you're dealing with, so that you can be prepared to and expect them along the way and possibly not make some of the mistakes. Because you can shorten your learning curve, not as a shortcut, you're just shortening it because you're not making as many mistakes. You're taking advantage of some knowledge that other people are sharing with you that's been down the road that you've been down, and it's going to help you, bridge that learning gap. So the first mistake that I see new traders make is coming into trading without a trading business plan. And one of the first classes that I do in the day trading class, it talks about establishing your business plan, the things you need to think about before you even start looking to trade, before you even start spending money on education and all this stuff. You need to sit down and figure out what direction you're going to go. Because oftentimes, if you sit down and you realize that this is just going to be a hobby or something to do, then the best thing for you to do is just trade in the simulator, because you're going to lose your money. Even if you do this part-time, you're going to have to give it full-time attention. And a lot of people do trade to supplement their income, but in order for this to work, they have to treat this as a legit part-time job, but give it, full-time job attention when you're trying to plan it and get things to the next level. So as a new trader, and believe it or not, there are traders that have been doing this for 2 years that that will contact me and say, I've been trying this for 2 years. I think I need some one-on-one mentoring. I just, sometimes I get close and then I can't. And the first thing I ask them is to send me a copy of their trading plan, their business trading plan. Tell me what you're doing. How do you have yourself set up? They don't have it. So they've been trading 2 years with no plan. Going by the seat of their pants and wondering why they aren't successful yet. So you got to have that plan. That's the very first thing. Second mistake is new and prospective traders, they just look to jump right in. Again, no plan. So they look to jump right in and start making money right off the bat. It's like, this is easy. I just get a brokerage account, learn how to buy and sell, and I got it made. And that couldn't be further from the truth. They have no regard or respect for education in this. I was kind of the same way a little bit. I knew I was going to have to learn, but I didn't respect the fact that I was going to need somewhat of a formal education in order to get this done. No regard or respect for the process. There is a process that you have to go through. And I shared it yesterday in the middle of the day when I went on my rant. I'm going to share it again so that it's recorded and out there for people to see, because it's very, very important. But you have to respect the process, that there is a process to learning how to trade and to go about being a successful trader. All this is part of just jumping right in and making money. You have unrealistic expectations. And we talked about that a lot. I even had it. Somebody that's been trading for, full time or 100% focused on trading for the last 5 years, make that same mistake, having unrealistic expectations. And, I shared that with you. I dealt with that. And then we look at these guys that have these one-hit wonders. Okay, that's the worst thing that can happen to you. We all know what a one-hit wonder is, and where that term came from. These guys in the music industry that got hold to this one catchy song, a catchy tune that was kind of new and fresh, and it excited everybody. It became a hit, but in reality, they didn't have the talent or the ability. They didn't go through the school of hard knocks and dealt with everything you had to deal with coming up in the music industry that prepares you for longevity. They didn't have that. They just popped up, had a one hit, and they just disappeared. That's what happens here in trading. There's a lot of brand new traders. A lot of new traders never traded before. They got on this TLRY train a while back, and they just been riding it, and they might have made a bunch of money off of it. But guess what? We all know this type of stock does not come around every week or every month. It may not even be every quarter. Stocks that grow like this. So if they came in not knowing anything and somebody said, hey, this, last month we had some people posting, hey, the Canadian weed stock sector is on fire, and they just put some money in it, they're on cloud 9 right now. But how long are they going to be able to keep that? Because this type of trade doesn't happen. It's just like back in 2014, there was the American weed stock craze. There were people that's all they did, and they made a ton of money trading it. But when those weed stocks fell on their face, they had no skill, zero trading skill, and could not make a dime. Lost all of their money. I don't even know if anybody's still trading anymore that caught up on that. So you don't want to fall into that. You don't want to be that one-hit wonder. And that's just what the mentality that a lot of traders come in. And here's what somebody posted in chat this morning. Now, I took the name off since this is going out outside the room. I know they posted it in chat, but since this is going to be posted outside of the community, I wanted to respect it privacy. It's, it said, man, it pisses me off to see people who know nothing about stocks make more money than I made in my first full 8 months of trading just by randomly buying what every other sheep out there is telling you to buy. Frustrating. I know it. As a new trader, it's very, very frustrating. You're busting your butt trying to do this the right way, and somebody comes along, catches hold of this TLRY, trade it for 3 or 4 weeks, make a ton of money, and you've been grinding it out for 8 months trying to do the right thing. But think about it. Who's going to be here? Now, that person may decide, hey, I need to take this money and learn. And, they may go through the grinding, but they're going to have to grind just like you did in order to sustain their career. Okay? And I know 2 people for a fact. That's the emails I got to see before I started this class. 2 people blew their accounts up on TLRY. They were long. And they couldn't get out. They were long. They held it on the pullback, thinking that it was going to come back and run back over 100. All gone. They're done. So they're going to have to take some time off and make more money. And they were following, and the bubble burst. And that was it. One of them had made, a ton of money, a couple $1,000s on it over the last couple days. Lost it all and then some. So, that's why I'm telling you, you can't jump right in and, follow somebody that's telling you to buy this. Yeah, it may work. It may work. And you'll hear a lot of people say they started out just following somebody and they made some money, and then all of a sudden they couldn't do it anymore. And that's because they didn't have the skill needed to sustain their trading career. And that's what we gotta work on here. And this is what I shared yesterday. I want to get this on record. I like to use this analogy about babies crawling, walking, running, and flying, because this explains to the T how we need to develop as traders. Because as a trader coming in, we can't just come in and start trading. We got to have something, know something. We just can't come in and start. So we go through a little bit of immersion into this. Just like babies, they wake up one day, they can't start walking. They have to go through a process. They have to develop their muscles. And all of the things that they do, rolling over, sitting up, all of this stuff they have to do. They have to do that's all gonna help them learn how to walk and learn how to crawl, learn how to sit up, all of these things. And they have to do that. They can't, if they don't do that, they'll never be able to walk. They'll never be able to crawl. They'll never be able to move around. And it's like they know naturally. It's inherent in them that they have to make these movements, that they have to keep trying to roll over and keep trying to crawl. And then when they're walking, they fall and they hurt themselves. But what do? They get back up. So that type is inherent in them. But what about when they touch something hot. Let's say they know the stove is hot. They're not going to keep touching the hot stove. One time they do it, maybe they'll do it twice, but then they'll stop. It's totally different mindset when they're learning how to walk, learning how to run, learning how to crawl. And we as traders are that same way. You know, we have to learn. And we have to build up our skills. We have to crawl while we're building our skills, trading small, taking small wins, learning how to read the chart, learning how to enter, you know, where we need to take profit, where we need to stop. You know, all of that is crawling. Then we start walking. And we start taking a little bit larger size. We start scaling out. Or in some cases, scaling in. You know, we go through this whole process, and before we know it, we're trading. But if we start skipping all of this, then we're not going to be able to do anything. You know, so this work needs to be done. All of this work that we're doing needs to be done so that we can develop those basic and fundamental skills that we're going to use to become successful traders. There's no shortcut. And as I was saying, how the baby needs to fall, they're going to make mistakes walking. You know, they're going to do things, they're going to fall, they're going to hurt themselves, but they're going to learn, don't do this anymore. It's going to help them grow. It's going to help them make the right choices. And we've got to do that. So just like babies do, we've got to make these certain mistakes. There's certain mistakes that we have to make. Certain mistakes that's going to cause us to fall. You know, but the main thing is we're going to have to lose in order to win in the end. We've got to learn how to accept that. So, you know, with that said, mistake 3 that a lot of new traders make is their unwillingness to accept losses. They'll tend to hold hope, get stubborn, say, I know I'm right about this, or this person is still holding, or that person is still holding. But they don't want to accept the fact that they're wrong. We are going to be wrong. You know, I'm wrong. And when I'm wrong, I admit when I'm wrong. You know, like on Baba today, I was looking at it for, you know, the all-day hold. It looked like it set up. It did set up. But the trade didn't work out. You know, it proved me wrong. I was the first one to admit that, hey, I was wrong about it. And you got to be big enough to accept that. So this is a skill. Accepting when you're wrong and accepting losses is not natural. It's not human for us to accept the loss. It has to be, you know, we have to train ourselves so that we do accept this thing, so that we know that when we take a loss, we learn from it. But if we're continuing to take a loss every day and you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, then you need professional help. Because that means that, you know, you're mentally challenged, and you probably need to go see a psychiatrist or something. Because anybody that sits in here every day and does the same thing over and over again and loses money every day and never corrects the problem, you got to screw loose. And, you know, I can't put it any nicer than that. So when we take losses and we make mistakes, we have to learn from them. And that's why the reflection process at the end of the day is so important. And that's why in the classes I put so much emphasis on that. Developing your developing your your skill. I lost the word. But you're developing, your acceptance for the making mistakes, and then knowing how to learn from them. So whatever instrument you use, whether you follow what I teach, whether you use something somebody else teaches, whatever you do, make sure that you reflect, because that's going to help you accept losses as well. It works hand in hand. If you know there's a means to an end, you'll be able to, swallow and accept those losses. All right, mistake 4. This is huge. They drink the Kool-Aid. And boy, I drank a lot of damn Kool-Aid when I first started. You have people posting, you can make $500 before the open. Or you can make $1,000 in 5 minutes. Listen, I'm not ashamed of sharing where I came from. But when I got started this, there was a time when I was living paycheck to paycheck. Matter of fact, I was floating paycheck to paycheck. And I mean, it was tough. And I'm gonna tell you that what really made me stop and want to change my life, it wasn't when my son was born. He was born 4 months too early. Spent 3 months in the hospital. When he got home, the bills that we had. Insurance took care of some things, but I was looking at over $1 million in medical bills. But once everything was said and done, I still had a couple $100,000. Had to remortgage my house. I mean, I was in debt up to my eyeballs. Eventually had to go through bankruptcy just to get everything straight. And, I said if I had to do it again, I would do it all over again. Just to make sure that my son was still here with me today. But I struggled for a long time. Never recovered from that. Never did. And one day my washing machine went out and I had no money in the bank. Had nothing. And here's a 30-year-old man having to go to his mom to borrow money to buy a washing machine. Well, I guess I didn't have to have a washing machine. We could have gone to the laundromat, but our schedules didn't really work. So I had to go borrow money to buy a washing machine. And over the course of 3 weeks, as 1 week I got my paycheck, 1 week my wife got hers, I had to pay her back. And that let me know that I couldn't continue to live that way. And so, when I saw this stuff, I'm like, damn, if I can make $500 one day a week, or if I could make $1,000 just trading one day, man, that's great. And so all of this, I was like, man, this is cool. And it sucked me in. And you still see it today. If you go on YouTube, you search it, that's how people get you to watch their videos. And, I was drinking it. I drank a lot of it. It's probably why I got diabetes right now. But that's a mistake that we make and kind of leads to our unrealistic expectations. Is that we're believing because we don't know. We're not educated. I think now, because there's so many people out there that's doing this, I think more people coming looking into trading are saying, hey, wait a minute. I need this to wait. I need to look and see what this is really about. And I think the newer traders coming in are more educated. And I think it's hurting some of these big guys that rely on a whole bunch of people coming in to make a living. Because now I'm seeing an increase in emails, a whole bunch of people now doing free webinars that, all of those turn into marketing things, trying to sell you, giving you all of these specials and stuff. I mean, so, I think these traders are getting more educated. The newer traders they're not drinking the Kool-Aid as much. But we still do, when we first get started. All right, mistake 5. They have the backpack mentality. And I know you remember back in high school or back in school where about 20 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes before the bell rang in class, you start packing your bags, your backpack. You're checking out. You're ready to go. The class isn't over with yet. Learning may not be over with yet for that day. But you're packing your backpack and you're not paying attention. And you're just ready to move on to the next thing without completing that class. And that's what happens in trading a lot. When you decide to join a community or to learn from somebody and you feel it's taking too long or you're restless, I want to learn something else. I want to move on. I want to do something new. And you haven't learned what you were supposed to learn to start with. That's what happens a lot with new traders, and that's what gets you in trouble. Not seeing it through. And if you see everything through that you start, you're going to have a good foundation. You don't want to get into that, well, this person is posting all of these gains every day. And believe me, I'm going to tell you like this. This is the way I am. I don't want you to believe a damn thing I tell you unless you can see it. Okay, and that's a big reason why I don't post all of the trades that I take in other accounts. If you can't see it, if I can't bring it up in front of you and show you in chat that this is what's going on, I don't want you to believe it. Because if somebody posts something and I'm not seeing it happen, I don't believe it. And that's the way you have to be in this business. So I'm not asking you to believe what I tell you. I only want you to believe what you see. And, and that's why when I'm in a swing trade, at the end of the day, I want to bring the account up so you can see it, that it's there. Because it's with the way the computers are and how smart these people are and these coders, I mean, you can make anything look real. So, I want you guys to actually see what's going on. So you don't want to jump and follow this and follow that until you really can see what's happening. And that's kind of the mentality that I had to have, as I was coming along. All right, so the last one. And then I'm going to share more with you throughout the coming weeks, but these are the 6 main ones that new traders make before they really get going good. And the last one I want to share is comparing yourself to others. This is one of the worst things you can do as a new trader because everybody has their own timeline. Just like using the analogy that I shared with you earlier about babies crawling, walking, and running. Some babies start crawling as early as 4 months. And some won't crawl until maybe 9 or 10 months. Some won't crawl at all. My son never really crawled. He kind of got up on his hands and knees and he would kind of try to go forward but would go backwards type thing. You can't compare yourself because, you know, he's smarter than a lot of kids that started walking when they were 8 months. So you can't compare yourself in your development. You have to focus on you. Compare yourself to your growth. You know, you have to compare yourself week to week, month to month to track your own growth. Because, you know, there's some babies that never crawl. And they'll just get up and start trying to walk at 7 months. Some won't walk until they're 16 or 17 months. You know, and I'm not coming up with numbers. These are medical facts. So with our trading, it's going to take us, some of us, it's going to take us longer to gain certain concepts. And there's nothing wrong with that. The only time that is an issue is when you try to compare yourself with somebody else. And you know, I know I shouldn't laugh, but when people want to talk to me about joining the service or whatever, you know, and they ask me, you know, well, how long, if I take your classes, how long can you guarantee me that I'll start making money? You know, and I just laugh. I can't guarantee anything because it's all up to you and your ability to comprehend, but more importantly, apply the concepts that you comprehend. And everybody has their own timeline in doing that. So, again, don't compare yourself to others. Use yourself and track your growth. If you're stagnant and you're not growing, then you're going to need to challenge yourself. You know, or if you're going backwards, then you may need some individual help. But either way, don't compare yourself to anybody else. All right, like I said, you know, I'm going to share more with you later on, but this is these are the main 6 that I wanted to share with you. The first things that even if you've been trying to trade for the last year and you can't seem to figure things out, if you relate to any of these mistakes that I've shared with you, you know, I hope you can take those and start making a plan to correct those mistakes. All right, so let me get, I think I got this up. All right, so the trades that we took today, well, the first one was CPRT. This is the one that I was looking at last night for earnings, but it had no volume this morning, nothing at the open. So that told me that this thing was not going to gap up, that everything that was put out was a bunch of garbage. And that's why I always like to look at the chart and kind of read what's happening first before I set my position. And so CPRT was, you know, one of those where it didn't have anything this morning. So I said, okay, no volume, my plan is dead. And so once earnings was announced, we started getting a little bit of volume and we started selling off. And I was kind of confused by this at first. And so I didn't take a position in it. But once we put in and once we started to settle in, I was looking at taking this. Now, I should have gotten it around in here, but I didn't. So I was like, well, I'll wait until this thing bounces. And I'm going to admit, and I think I even posted it, that I was going to wait. You know, I was going to watch this at lunch and, you know, see if I could get an entry. I'm not going to lie, I cut the computer on. I got that FOMO. because all I could do was see this thing selling off down to this low here, down to in the 50s. So I jumped in, and it's kind of bounced a little bit, but we held below, and I kind of got a little bit agitated with myself, and instead of me putting in to take half off here at 53, I did it for the whole amount.
Health. It is a subsidiary of Eli Lilly Lima.
Let me turn off my man
that
here.
Will be.
So I ended up taking it all off, but in the end, it looked like it was the right thing because it never did come back. But this was a case of fear of missing out that actually worked out. Usually, when you get FOMO, it doesn't work out. Just like those guys on TLRY today. They jumped in thinking this thing was going to, run back up on that bounce. Got ate up. That thing sold off all the way. Back below 100. And in the second trade, this was a reversal here. It hit the reversal scan, but I didn't take the reversal. I don't know what the hell's wrong with my head, where I'm not taking these reversals. I'm sitting here waiting for them to turn around so I could short them coming back, and they're not coming back. They kind of give you a signal that they're going to reverse here, and all I did was anticipate, which I shouldn't have done. The only time I should have taken this is when we got below this candle. No way I should have gotten in here, and I should have waited and ended up stopping out. But then once it ran up and it gave me showed me some weakness here that we were rejecting, I got in, took a piece off here, and it ended up going back, stopping me out at break even. Now, I hate that because this thing started selling off a little bit more. So I'd have been able to catch a little bit. Still was able to catch a little bit here. But not a good day overall. It was bad. I mean, I said it this morning. The day just wasn't there. I saw a lot of people get in a lot of trades and get stopped out. And it just wasn't a good day. Unless you just waited. You had to wait for things to settle down, and then you could get in. But if you tried to trade the first hour or two, it was kind of a struggle. It was kind of a struggle. So I'm happy to get out of the day, with some green, $53. And we're slowly growing. Now I'm not looking at the P&L at night. I'm not even looking at what the equity is. I've got that hidden. Now I can look at the buying power and kind of figure what the equity is, but unless I see it written, it doesn't really burn into my head. So if I'm guesstimating, that's just what it is. It's a guesstimate. It's not set in stone. It's funny how my brain works like that. I don't know if it has to do with my dyslexia or not. I don't know. But I have to do certain things to kind of fool my brain into doing what I want it to do. So I've had to do that ever since I realized, even before I realized I had dyslexia. I didn't know I had it until I got to college. And, my freshman language arts teacher figured it out because we had to write essays every day. All right, so that was it on that, that side today. Not much happening. So we'll get everything set and put together for tomorrow so we can hit the ground running. Let me see. I'm sorry. If you send me a PM, it kind of takes a minute for me to get to it. So you can ask me in regular chat if you want to. But earnings today was RHT. That was the one. There was like 3 that reported this afternoon. RHT was pretty predictable. They ran it up all day, so it was gonna sell off. There's just no doubt in that what was gonna happen. They just made it so easy. All right, guys. So you guys that are still hanging out, thanks for hanging out with me. But I'll get this uploaded and posted. Like I said, I'm gonna share this one to the public. That's why I did the recap on it. But we'll be back tomorrow. We have our day trading class tomorrow. We're getting back on track, so I'm starting to feel better. Getting everything back on track, getting comfortable and back in the saddle. So as long as we don't have any more natural disasters headed our way, I think we'll be in good shape going into the fourth quarter. And we're going to do the same promotion that we did last year. We're going to finish strong. We're going into that fourth quarter and we're going to finish strong.